All right, there's a hot one out today, and that suppressor is hot. Just remember, gentlemen, if you're going to lick the forbidden popsicle, also known as a hot suppressor, have some water nearby so you can quench your burning tongue in the way of a battle bottle. So stay healthy, stay hydrated. Check out ironinfidel.com. We've got fitness gear, hydration bottles, so you can stay healthy and hydrated out there in the world. Now, let's talk about plate carriers. So there's always this looming question out there in the world or on the internet that, civilians don't need or should not have plate carriers. Well, that's just flat out wrong. I think everybody should be able to own a plate carrier and do what they want with it, because there are a lot of scenarios where you might want to have one, and we're going to talk about some of those, as well as how you should probably outfit your plate carrier as a civilian, because it's going to be very, very different than somebody who's in the military or law enforcement. And having done both those careers, I can tell you, I just don't want to carry that much stuff on a plate carrier or a vest or a chest rig anymore. I want to run as slick as possible because you're faster, more maneuverable, and it's just more comfortable. Now, there are a lot of plate carrier brands out there that I have worn and used over the years from military, law enforcement, and now my civilian life. And I'm not really going to go into all of them. The one I am wearing today is the HRT L-back. It is one of the most comfortable plate carriers that I personally own. I've got level 4 plates in here, lightweight. Those are from Ace-Link Armor. I've personally shot that stuff a lot to see what it can hold, and I'm comfortable wearing those out there in the world. Whatever type of carrier and plate you get is completely up to you. But let's talk about, when would you actually deploy this gear out there in the real world? And when would you carry this gear with you? So I go by, it's kind of better to have and not need than to need and not have. But you always have to be careful with laws, restrictions, and where you can and can't take things depending on where you live in the country. I live in Arizona. It's pretty free. I can pretty much carry all of this stuff around with me at all times, as long as it's not a restricted zone. But the L-back is great. The Ace-Link Armor is good. It's lightweight, and you're going to be able to carry it around. And as you can see, you have an assortment of front panels and back panels, which we'll show here in a minute. So the 3 big areas I think about as far as deploying a plate carrier as a civilian is, 1, in your home. God forbid there's some form of home invasion or something. If there is time, which is going to be dependent on the size of your home, where you're located, where the bad person's located, how much advance notice you have, it's probably a good idea to put on some form of armor. 1, to protect yourself, but 2, to shield your family and your wife and your kids, who should be somewhere safe or at minimum behind you, so this is in front of them. That's probably the key one that people think about. And number 2 for me is being a good armed civilian, a good modern day Minuteman, right? Have this kit and actually go out and train with it, because doing things in this plate carrier and reloading from the plate carrier and running around with it and taking a kneel and shooting positions is way different than just wearing your battle belt or just wearing a chest rig. All of this weight and the size and the way that it's going to change the way you move, get out of here, fly, is going to have a big difference in your training and your capabilities. And it's going to open your eyes to just how uncomfortable this stuff can be, especially when you're in it for hours and hours. The last scenario is going to be what we have seen over the past several years across the United States with riots, cities being burned to the ground, destroyed. I'm not saying go and put yourself into those environments, but if you are close to one of those environments, with everything that we've seen, or you have to drive through them, it might not be a bad idea, just for self-protection, to have this in your home close to you, or have this in your vehicle with you in case you get stuck in one of those environments. Because again, I'd rather have this on when people are looting and shooting and doing stupid stuff while I'm trying to get out of that area and avoid the fight, than not have it and take a round, right? So those are really the main areas where I think a civilian would probably deploy this. Home invasion, training with it, and then God forbid you're in a civil chaos scenario. And then of course, taking photos of you wearing your plate carrier in your underwear to post on Instagram. No, I'm not showing a photo of that. Now, what should you actually put on or carry with you when it comes to your plate carrier? When I think about a plate carrier, there's really 4 main things that I'm thinking about. I want to be able to carry some extra ammunition. I want to be able to carry some medical gear, whether it's on my first line belt or on a hanger pouch, something like that. I want water on one of these things. I want at least 2 quarts of water, because if you're in this thing, especially out here in the desert, you are going to drip water out of your body like you've never seen before, and you are going to dehydrate super fast. Again, shameless plug, check out the battle bottles. They'll keep you healthy and hydrated.
Oh yeah!
But as we'll see in a little bit here, on the back of this, I have an actual back panel that HRT makes, and it's got a hydration bladder section in it, so I can carry a large amount of water with me when I'm out there in the world, and I can either have the hose out the whole time, or I can just have it stowed, because typically I want that stowed if I'm out running around. That way I can stop, and if I need to get water, I can. If I know I'm gonna be doing something very, very long out there and maintained, I'll run the hose, keep it on my off shoulder so I'm not running into it with my rifle stock, and then I can hydrate as needed. So that's kind of a situationally dependent thing. And then of course, the last thing is your armor. Now, whatever armor you choose to go with is completely up to you, whether you want to go with steel or some kind of lightweight composite. But just remember, the better it gets, the lighter it gets, the cost goes way up as well. But if you go with something very cheap like steel, there are trade-offs. It's extremely heavy compared to lightweight level 4 plates like this, and you're gonna sink if you end up in a body of water. They will not help you float at all. Trust me, there's plenty of videos you can watch out there online. Now let's talk about some of the things you probably do not need on your plate carrier as just you out there in the world. Even though there's a lot of people out there on Instagram with clout with like cell phone jammers and juggernaut cases and comm setups and all these different things. Well, when it comes to stuff like that, who are you comming with? And are your comms secure? Or do you even have an embedder or some type of radio? That probably means you're working for an agency or a governmental entity. Whereas just a regular civilian, I don't have comms on this, because if I'm trying to communicate with somebody, they're probably close to me, I'm gonna use my cell phone, or maybe we'll have a two-way radio. But if you have comms on you and you're not working with a team, how are you gonna communicate with anybody else in the world? So to me, that's one thing on my personal plate carrier that I can get rid of and lose weight and battery and overall size, because probably just not gonna need it. Now, I've also seen a lot of guys out there with fake 4-prong, antennaed cell phone jammers and stuff that are bought off eBay, using them in photos. That's great if you're operating out there in the world, but on your personal plate carrier, probably not something you're gonna need to carry around. So I want my carrier slick. I maybe want a couple of admin pockets. I want about 3 magazines across the top, because if I don't have my belt with me, at least I got this ammo here. A couple of pistol mags, should I be running a pistol. I've got my back panel here, which I can load up with Lickies, Chewies, Skittles, gummy bears, Twinkies, couple quarts of water. I can put breaching tools in there. I can put whatever I want in there. I can put a poncho, I can put a heat blanket in there. Whatever you want to put in your panel, you can. Just remember, everything you add adds weight. Just remember, you need to prioritize your carrier and your gear for sustainability, but also mobility and how light you need it to be out there in the world. You need to think about those big 4 things: your armor, your ammo, your water, and your medical kit. You've got to have those things on you, because if you can stop holes, you should probably be able to make them. And if you can make them, you need to be able to stop them. And God forbid, you need to be able to plug them. Damn! So think about that stuff when you are trying to put your plate carrier together, because there's a lot of stuff you can buy that you just don't need. Make sure you check out ironinfidel.com. Check out our battle bottles. We've got the big ones, we've got the small ones. Whatever your girl's into,
I keep her on her toes.
We can make it happen. Check out the fitness gear as well at ironinfidel.com. Keep training out on the range, and make sure you check out and prioritize your plate carrier. Camera guy lost his umbrella. That was funny. What's the matter, Wicked Witch of the West? Your umbrella's not working? Look at Mary Poppins over there.
What's the matter, Wicked Witch of the West? Your umbrella's not working? Look at Mary Poppins over there.
Son of a bitch, Paul, why didn't you just go home? That's your home! Are you too good for your home? Answer me!